Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into something incredibly exciting for the open source world. The brilliant minds behind one of the most unique independent Linux distributions on the planet have just announced the public availability of NixOS version 26.05, codename Yarara. Now, if you've been hanging around the Linux community for a while, you've probably heard of NixOS. It often gets a reputation for being this hyper-advanced, intimidating distro meant only for hardcore developers or sysadmins who love writing complex configuration code. But today we are going to break it down in a way that anyone can understand. Whether you're a seasoned Linux hopper or someone just looking to see what the hype is all about, this video is for you. We're going to look at what makes the specific Yarara release special, the massive desktop upgrades it brings, some major under-the-hood structural shifts, and whether or not you should consider trying it. Before you look at the shiny new features, let's answer the fundamental question. What actually is NixOS and why should you care? Most traditional Linux distributions like Ubuntu, Fedora or Arch operate on what we call an imperative model. You install the OS and then you manually change things. You type a command to install a package, you edit a configuration file in your /etc directory, and you download a theme. Over time, your system becomes a unique, messy ecosystem. If something breaks or if you want to recreate that exact setup on a second computer, it's incredibly difficult because you have to remember every single tiny change you ever made. NixOS throws that entire concept out the window. It is built on a declarative and reproducible model using the Nix package manager. Instead of running random installation commands, your entire operating system, including your drivers, your desktop environment, your user settings, and every single application you own, is described in a single central configuration text file. If you want to install a program, you simply type its name into that file and apply it. If you copy that single text file to a completely different computer and hit deploy, NixOS will build an exact identical twin of your operating system in minutes. Even better, it features automatic upgrades. If an update goes wrong or a new graphics driver breaks your system, you don't have to panic or reinstall from scratch. When you boot your PC, NixOS gives you a list of generations. You can literally just select the previous boot generation from your startup menu and boom, your system rolls back to exactly how it was before the break, as if nothing ever happened. And remember, even if you aren't ready to jump completely into NixOS as a full operating system, its underlying package repository, nix-pkgs, can actually be used as a standalone package manager on top of your existing Linux distributions or even on macOS. Now that we are up to speed on why NixOS is so cool, let's talk about the sheer scale of this brand new 26.05 Yarara release. The Linux community thrives on collaboration and the numbers behind this update are absolutely staggering. This release was made possible by the incredible efforts of 2,842 individual contributors who authored a mind-blowing 59,700 free commits since the previous version. There is a massive amount of development power going into optimizing, fixing, and expanding this ecosystem. Let's look at how that breaks down for the core software repository nix-pkgs. 20,442 brand new packages have been added to the repository. 20,641 existing packages have been updated to their latest version. 17,532 outdated or unmaintained packages were cleanly removed to ensure the repository remains secure, lightweight, and clutter-free. On the NixOS side of things, which handles how the OS itself is configured, the developers added 85 new configuration models and 1,547 new configuration options, while trimming away 25 outdated modules. What this means for you as a user is more flexibility, better hardware compatibility out of the box, and more precise control over your system layout. Hey, if you are enjoying this breakdown and want to keep up with the absolute best that Linux and open source world has to offer, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and you won't miss out on any of my upcoming distribution deep dives, performance testing or helpful tutorials. Thank you so much for the support. Let's dive into one of the biggest structural changes in NixOS 26.05. It's a bit technical, but is a massive milestone for the stability of the OS. Stage 1 boot is now based on systemd by default. When you turn on your computer, the boot process happens in stages. Stage 1 is the initial RAM disk environment. Its job is to do the bare minimum needed to initialize your hardware, mount your main root file system, and then hand control over to the stage 2, which loads up your actual desktop and applications. Historically, NixOS used a custom highly complex scripted implementation to handle this initial boot stage. While it worked well for years, maintaining custom scripts for complex modern boot scenarios like encrypted drives, complex storage arrays, or advanced network booting becomes a massive headache. By switching to a systemd based stage 1 by default, NixOS is aligning itself with modern Linux standards. It brings better hardware initialization, more robust error handling during early boot, and a much more predictable startup process. If you're a fan of the old scripted implementation, don't worry, it's still there for now, but it is officially deprecated and scheduled to be completely removed in the upcoming version 26.11 later this year. For the vast majority of users, this change means a smoother, more reliable boot experience out of the box. Alright, let's talk about something you actually see and interact with every single day, the desktop environment. For the users who prefer a polished workflow-driven modern desktop interface, NixOS 26.05 officially introduces Gnome version 50, codenamed Tokyo. Gnome 50 is a fantastic update that focuses heavily on refinement, accessibility, and modernizing user interactions. Here are some of the standout highlights you'll notice when running Gnome 50 on Yarara. Gnome 50 features massive under-the-hood improvements to how it handles modern displays. If you're running a multi-monitor setup with different refresh rates, or if you rely heavily on Wayland, the desktop feels noticeably smoother and more responsive. Window dragging, animations, and workspace transitions feels incredibly fluid. The Gnome team has spent a ton of development time making the desktop more accessible to everyone. This includes better scaling options, enhanced high-contrast themes, and vastly improved screen reader integration, making the entire desktop experience more inclusive. Many of the core Gnome applications have received subtle visual updates and performance tweaks to make them match the modern design philosophy. The quick settings toggle menu is more intuitive, and managing system resource feels lighter than ever. Combined with NixOS' ability to cleanly manage Gnome extensions right inside your configuration file, this makes the Gnome 50 experience on NixOS one of the absolute best implementations available right now. For the developers, tinkering minds, and performance enthusiasts out there, NixOS 26.05 brings a major upgrade to its core development toolchain. The GNU compiler collection, meaning GCC, has been updated to version 15. GCC is the engine under the hood that takes source code and compiles it into the actual binary software that runs on your computer. A major leap forward to GCC 15 means better code optimization, superior support for modern C and C++ programming standards, and improved compilation performance. Whether you are building custom packages from source or developing your own software on NixOS, this is a massive win. Meanwhile, on the LLVM side of things, which is another vital compiler infrastructure used heavily for graphic drivers, game compilation, and modern languages, it remains solid at version 21, ensuring a stable and reliable foundation for your gaming and rendering workloads. Whenever a massive new distribution version drops, it's incredibly important to look at the support lifecycle and any major deprecations so your system doesn't get left vulnerable or broken. First, let's look at the support timeline for NixOS 26.05 Yarara. This release will receive active bug fixes and critical security updates for the next 7 months, officially wrapping up its cycle on December 31, 2026. If you are currently running the older version NixOS 25.11 Jantuja, take note, that release is now officially deprecated. It will reach its absolute end of life and completely stop receiving securities updates after June 30, 2026. That gives you roughly 1 month windows from the launch of Yarara to cleanly back up your system and upgrade your configuration to the 26.05 channels to stay completely safe and secure. There is one more massive deprecation notice that you need to know about if you use the Nix package manager on Apple hardware. NixOS 26.05 will be the absolute final release of Nix PKGS to support Intel-based Mac hardware. The developers have noted that because Apple itself has heavily deprecated Intel hardware combined with very limited build infrastructure and developers testing time on the Nix side, maintaining support is no longer viable. Binaries will continue to be built and maintained for this specific version until its support ends in December 2026. However, when the next major version 26.11 launches later this year, packages for Intel Macs will no longer be built, nor will they be officially supported for building from source. If you are on a modern Apple Silicon Mac M1, M2, M3, etc., you are completely fine. This only affects older Intel-based Mac machines. So, what is the final verdict on NixOS 26.05 Yarara? This release represents a beautiful evolution for the distribution. It takes the absolute best elements of NixOS, its rock-solid reliability, its declarative configuration files, and its foolproof rollback capability, and marries it with the cutting-edge desktop performance via Gnome 50 and modern boot standardization throughout systemd. If you have ever been curious about trying a distribution that gives you complete control over your system, a setup that can never be permanently broken by a bad update, and a package repository that is arguably the largest in the entire open source world, NixOS 26.05 is an absolute masterpiece of a starting point. The ISO image downloads are live right now on the official NixOS website, featuring easy to use graphical installers for users who want a smooth, noob-friendly onboarding experience. So what do you think about the new Yarara release? Are you tempted to try out the declarative lifestyle, or are you sticking with your current traditional distro? Let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to drop a like, share it with a fellow Linux enthusiast, and make sure to subscribe for more open source content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.